is pretty solid. I think the top 5 could move around a few different ways.
You couldn't have too many people angry about it, you think?
I know some people who don't like the number 3 spot.
Really?
I don't know, dancing around it. I know some people who don't like Up. Who think Up is a bad film.
But
I don't. I love it.
The first 10 minutes. Now, I think. So here's what I did. When I saw these ratings, I was like, I got to refresh myself on some of these films. People seem to only remember Up for its first 10 minutes, right?
It's the first 10 minutes, and then it's Doug. That's the two things people remember. It's the first 10 minutes, and a talking dog. And to be fair, it's a top 10 film based on that. Just on the first 10 minutes and a talking dog. You need nothing else. I mean, you chuck in Kevin, and then it's a top 3 film.
I mean, that dog is adorable. There's a scene where, at the end when they're fighting, it's, let me pull up their names here real quick. So the final, when the 2 older guys are fighting at the end, their backs keep giving out when they're trying to hit each other.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really inspired. And he has his walker when he hits the guy on the head.
And it bounces back and hits him on the head.
Yeah.
He's got the tennis balls on it. Yeah, it's great.
It's like, there's great visual gags. I mean, the balloon, I don't know. I'm happy with it at number 3, even though I didn't put it that far. But I still think it's...
Where my wife and I got married, they had peacocks roaming around.
Oh.
We're middle class. When we went to look at the venue, one of the peacocks made a noise that sounded exactly like Kevin the bird from Up. And as soon as we heard that, I was like, yep, this is where we're going to get married.
That's awesome.
It happens. It's just, that film is embedded in my brain in many ways.
Watching Kevin limp breaks my heart.
Yeah. But when he says goodbye to the group, and he just hugs Russell and pats Carl on the head, and then makes that screeching noise at Doug. It's like, that's perfect. That's how he feels about all these characters. Great. And then the little baby Kevin's with the tennis balls at the...
He's like, that's a parting gift. Keep it.
Yeah.
Hey, so before we get in our top 2, I just quickly asked some people on Movies, Films, and Flicks Facebook as to what their favorites were. And so Allie Maxwell said Inside Out is number 1, and then WALL-E, then Toy Story, then Coco, then Up. I love it. Jesse Deal says The Incredibles, then WALL-E, Toy Story, Up, and then Inside Out. So Inside Out are in both of these lists. Now, John Levengood also wrote a pretty long piece that I want to read. He said, he's also a guy, he's on this podcast a lot. You know John Levengood.
Yeah.
He wrote, I saw Inside Out about a week after my father died, arguably the best or worst possible timing for that. I can't remember the last time a movie made me cry so very much for warm reasons. Just writing this almost gets me, got me. Wonderful film with the most important messages that one can learn as they grow up. Longing for what once was held or felt or enjoyed. Whereas WALL-E might be among the warmest films that didn't make me cry, or at least no more than a rogue tear. But boy, was I feeling most of the time it was on. Aw. So John just wrote that about Inside Out.
Yeah, I think he's got an emotional connection, so fair enough. I think Onward would have had a similar reaction.
Oh, really?
If he'd seen it at the same time. That's a very father-son film as well.
Got it. But it's kind of neat. But WALL-E, though, man. All right, so we'll get to number 2, Incredibles. Which, do you think it's the most mainstream of the lot? The first Incredibles.
I think it might be, yeah. It's, especially today in the superhero cinema landscape that we live in, it kind of almost preceded a lot of that. It's 4 years before the MCU came out, so there were superhero films then, but not as many as there are now. I think so. It's a family film. It's about a family. It's adults love it, kids love it. There's stuff for everyone in Incredibles. And I don't rank it as highly as most people do. It's my number 8, so it's still in my top 10. It's just never gelled with me as it has with other people. It's got 6 number 1s, I think, among our rankings. So a lot of people love this film, and I don't blame them. It's a very good film.
Yeah, I gave it number 1.
You did.
I'm all over the place. It changes, but you know what I think though about this is it doesn't have the heaviness of some of the Toy Story movies, because these Toy Story movies get heavy.
Yeah, it's a mostly light film. There's some conflict between the characters. You have some like marital strife. They think that Bob's cheating at some point, so there's that kind of serious issue to discuss. And the main character, he thinks that his wife and kids are dead at one point, so he's in a very low point when that happens, and he threatens to kill the assistant of Syndrome.
It has the best rock throw.
Some such great moments when Jack first realizes, when Dash realizes he can run on water. That little giggle that he gives out, that little just is such a real childish thing, but it makes so much sense that he's just found out this incredible. He knew he was special. He could run really fast, but he could run on water. I just love that little moment.
The best rock throw. Remember when Mr. Incredible knocks out that guy from about 50 yards with a rock?
Oh yeah.
That makes me so happy. And then the cape bit where people in capes kept dying.
Yeah, that's like a kind of a Watchmen style montage of
Oh yeah, you're right.
caped people dying. Yeah.
And then I thought Jason Scott Lee was just an excellent villain. There was like a petulance to him, and I really liked that. Because, like, listen, I'm not. I think a lot of fan culture, he sort of maybe represented that, and like they get very entitled, and I thought it was a really before its time kind of talk about fan culture. I thought that was pretty interesting how angry he got, and like like it's I don't know, but the action scenes, the rock throwing. I think just you watch Up and you're like, I'm gonna get emotional. You watch Coco, I'm gonna get emotional. You watch Cars 2 and like it's fun, but it's just kind of it's more centered towards kids. So I think you can just put on Incredibles and you don't have to deal with any of that. Just a beautifully animated film with fun moments.
It's just entertainment. Well, not just. I wouldn't say that kind of belittles it. It's great entertainment.
You know what I've had an
and
issue.
The score is amazing.
Oh yeah. Oh man. Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna watch it again.
I don't need to. It's in my head.
No, you probably watched.
I can just think about it.
You've watched these movies much more than I have, haven't you?
So many times.
Now, I want to ask you a question. So someone was talking about some films, and they were like, it's a popcorn movie, right? And you're like, yeah, it's okay. It's just a popcorn movie, but it's really good. If you go to make a popcorn movie and it's excellent, then that means it's an excellent film for what it is. So it shouldn't be like, does that make sense? I went out to make a popcorn movie and I succeeded. So that means it's a very good popcorn movie.
It's like Mission Impossible Fallout.
Yeah.
That was, for me, that was I think the second best film of that year. I loved it. And it was just discussed as, oh yeah, it's a new Mission Impossible film. Everyone loves it. Literally everyone loves it. I don't know its Rotten Tomatoes score, but if it's less than 100, then someone's wrong. But it got when the Oscars came around, not discussed.
None.
I feel like it should have been because it was one of the best films of that year. But it's just dismissed as it's a summer blockbuster. It's just a popcorn action film. No, it's amazing.
Amazing.
It's amazing. A guy gets hit in the face with a helicopter. It's amazing.
It knows what it is and it succeeds on every level.
It does.
I'm looking forward to those movies being rewarded. All right, number one. I think this is I went through a lot of lists, right? And even the list that I asked for, so John, Allie, and Jesse brought this up. I also included WALL-E in my... Oh, I put WALL-E at 3. I'm happy with that. That's great. Okay. That makes me happy. So, I mean, I think I tried to help Coco with a number 2 to get it higher up in the list, but yeah, WALL-E's 3. I think it's a number... I went through a bunch of lists, and WALL-E was in the top 3 every time. So,
As it should be.
Yeah, it's just... Like, just watching the musicals, and when Eva pulls that tape out and he's all stressed out, and then he puts it in and he starts dancing for her.
Yeah, she's messing with his stuff. Yeah. You don't mess with someone's stuff. She's messing with his stuff.
And remember she breaks his little spit. I can't think of the name right now, but she breaks
the whisk.
It. Yeah, the whisk, and then she hides it.
And she like touches the light bulb, it turns on, and she solves the Rubik's Cube, and she's messing with his stuff. She's improving it, but she's messing with his stuff.
And when
he's a hoarder.
Whenever that cockroach gets smushed, I hated it. Like, I'm like, is he dead? Every time. Every time I watch that movie and it gets smushed, I go, no! I'm like, oh,
over a cockroach. We're not talking like a Bug's Life kind of thing where it's a character with lines. This is just a little cockroach that follows him around and eats a Twinkie. It's like, is it a Twinkie? It's something.
Yeah,
some kind of American cake.
It's a Twinkie, yeah.
Okay.
That's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years old. Because WALL-E's been down there for hundreds of years, correct?
Yeah, enough time for humans to devolve into amorphous blobs.
What a cynical thing, but I love it. Consume, eat. Now, also, I just watch. I'm amazed at how fast it flew by just watching WALL-E, and that's kind of a miracle in today's cinema. Just watching this little robot make cubes, then go back. I was the entire film. I don't know why I lie about it. The entire film, I was worried about his solar power. Like, how does he charge? Is he gonna fall? Like, I knew he lived, and I knew the ending, but every time I'm like, is he gonna get charged? He hasn't been charged for that long. What's wrong with him? Why isn't he charging? What's going on?
Well, he's got an Apple battery as well. So, and it's an Apple battery that's quite a long time old.
Yeah,
that's a weird way of saying that. It's quite an old Apple battery, so it can't be able to retain its charge. Well, now.
I was like, cynical. I started going like, what happens if it's too cloudy? Like, what if there's like a storm and the sun gets hurt? Like, well, what's going to happen to him? But just watching him, and then when he take off on the ship and he goes on that massive trip, And I mean, he's in space for years. It feels like.
Well, I mean, when he's in space, he opens his panel and charges immediately because he's that much closer to the sun.
Vroom.
But down on Earth, you shouldn't be that concerned because this is in the far future where there's no ozone layer left.
Oh yeah,
So
you're right.
There's just no barrier.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's a great point. Oh okay, good. So he's okay. And I was like, is a sandstorm coming? Is he gonna get hurt by a sandstorm? What's gonna happen with that? Like when's that coming? And just I don't know. Why I don't like. He was kind of a jerk to that cleanup droid. I felt bad for that droid who had to clean everything up.
Mo. I love Mo.
And it got so annoying. Wally put it on his face, and it's like, ah!
That's why I like Wally, because I think Wally and Mo are friends at that at the end of the film. Because Mo's just going around cleaning up, doing his business, and then he has this Wally comes along, and he plays a little prank. He has a little joke with him, and Mo's like, "Yeah, I appreciate that. Gonna clean my face, but I appreciate that." And they're friends. I get it.
It just made me so happy, like just watching this movie and Eva, and Wally, and
yeah, the romance between them is this is one of my favorite romance films,
and
it's about robots.
He goes to hold her hand, and she locks it on him, and he falls on the ground.
He can't escape.
I gotta say, whoever built Wally, I would hire, because that is an excellent droid.
Absolutely.
Now, the one problem I had, he's building these skyscrapers out of cubes, and sandstorms come through every night. They'd all be blown over.
Could be. I mean, they're pretty wide. I think there'd be some collapses, some towers would go down, but I think they're got a pretty good base on them. But then there's nothing really holding the blocks together.
Nothing.
That we know of. Maybe he's got some kind of a viscous secretion that can stick the layers together.
Like
That's
a
horrible
xenomorph?
Sentence. Viscous secretion is a terrible phrase.
I think you and Levingood just became best friends with that. He loves viscous secretion. Like, he loves talking about goo. But I love that he's rolling over the cash. There's jumbo stores everywhere. And it's like this children's movie, but there's also this interesting cynicism in regards to consumerism and...
Yeah, and he finds the diamond ring in the box, throws the ring away and plays with the box. It's a fun little puppet kind of thing.
And you know what's crazy? When Eva's going around with his stuff and banging on his little den, and she throws him into the roof and dents it, I was so worried about his stuff.
Yeah, because he's been collecting that for centuries, it seems.
And I got very angry at the end, though, when she blew a hole through his home.
Oh, God.
And I'm like, why didn't she just walk him 3 feet out?
Because they're in love, Mark. You can't rush these things. She needs to get that sunlight to him now.
Oh, I know, I get the urgency, and it's quite romantic.
Yeah.
It's just, come on, don't mess with his crib.
Take some respect for this guy's home.
Yeah, like, these are his tchotchkes. Like, he loves it. Those people are going to have to stay on that.
Lives. Yes, we're in some kind of new civilization where he can find some other house, but this is his home. This is where he feels safe. And you just put in a skylight where he did not want.
She could probably fix it pretty quick, though, right?
She probably
and he could weld it. Yeah,
Do you reckon that there's? I reckon, in a fast forward a few years, there's a statue of Wally.
I mean,
somewhere.
He saved humanity.
He is the savior. Yeah, something like a statue of him.
And when they bust out of remember when the ship explodes out of Earth? They hit all the satellites. That's such like a cynical. And then those people are gonna have to stay on that ship for years. Like their kids.
Yeah. Go out and start farming, but
yeah. Like, the sandstorm is going to wipe a ton of them out. UV rays are probably going to get bombed by. They have to deal with that.
Well, they've got those umbrella robots.
Oh, yeah, that's true. And they have robots as well. And there's tons of robots. But
they're going to send some up there to rebuild the ozone layer.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess they're in pretty good shape. And they could probably get water. That ship could make a lot of things happen. And they have those big ships, too. They have tons of eaves that could go out and do work.
They do, yeah.
Oh, they're going to be fine.
Lots of everything. They're just going to have robots do everything.
And then just be as lazy?
Yeah. Maybe not everyone. I think some people will get into the dirt and make the most of it. But a lot of people are just going to be like, nah, the robots can do it.
And so they'll be just as lazy?
They'll just be fresher.
Oh, that makes me... That's sad.
Yeah. Talk about a cynical film.
Yeah, let's go back to space. Screw this. Let's go. Well,
it's hot down here.
What is this? It's not 72 and sunny all the time. But yeah, dude, thanks for joining me, man. This was a lot of fun. I'm really glad that I got to go through all these movies again.
I would happily talk Pixar at any opportunity. I mean, this show was my idea. I wanted to talk about all the Pixar films. So.
And you made it happen. You brought in all the rankings, so this is really good. And I don't know, I love the refresher of all of it. It makes me happy. I was kind of souring on Pixar, and it's my own fault, just because